I thought it was really important to have this documented, because to have a documentation of making the album and showing the process of going through it and how it's all come together, I think is really special given what's going on in my life right now. And also I think it's very important as well to let other people see how you can still achieve things in life with cancer, but also to see how you overcome obstacles as well, because living with cancer is not easy. So it's to show the good side and the bad side, and how you can still keep on living. And I think if you put that on film, it's a great way for people to be able to see it a lot better, because I think cancer is misunderstood by a lot of people and they don't really get to see behind the scenes. And this is a way to really get to see what goes on behind the scenes.
Storrar was one of the best country singers Scotland ever produced. She travelled the world with husband Steve performing, and Jackie was an accomplished broadcaster too. As well as being a colleague, she was also a wonderful friend. In 2008, just after she'd enjoyed success with her unlikely country cover of Motorhead's Ace of Spades, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. Her life changed from that moment, but she battled hard and was given the all clear. In 2014, the cancer returned. This time, it was terminal. During one of many conversations I had with her and Steve, it was clear Jackie wanted to make one final album. She told me she had so many things she wanted to do and say, and wanted to share her experience with others. She was determined to pack as much into her remaining days as possible. As a filmmaker, I wanted to show what the real Jackie Storrar was like, a courageous, multi-talented person who touched many lives so positively. This is Jackie's story.
Well, it started 6 years ago, back in the year 2000, and I actually felt my own lump, and it was in my breast. And it was over a Christmas period, and it was probably the longest wait in my life because all the hospitals had closed down for the Christmas period. And at the beginning of January 2010, I had to go to hospital and go through all the normal checks, like a mammogram and a biopsy. And I realised very quickly there was something wrong. And the doctors had said to me that they were pretty sure that I had cancer. And it would take another 2 days for the test to come back. And I think that was probably the longest wait of our lives. We were obviously hoping for the best, yet fearing the worst. As soon as cancer is mentioned, you go into a place that you have never been in your life before. It was a totally different ball game. And 2 days later, we did go back to the hospital, and we had a rather long meeting with my consultant, and it was confirmed that I had breast cancer, stage 3. During that time, we had lots of questions to ask. We had lots of new feelings to deal with. And we had worries like we'd never had before. And of course, the ultimate worry that I think everyone has when they're told they have cancer is, am I going to die? It was just one of the questions that goes through your mind. And unfortunately, the doctors can't really give you an answer. They can give you 99% what they think is going to happen, looking at your results, but nobody can ever really tell you for sure what's going to happen. And I've got to say that it wasn't easy, but I did get through it, and I got through it with the help as well of Steve and some very, very good friends who looked after me, and even the nurses and doctors at the hospital were looking after me so well. And nowadays they've got so much medication to help you get through chemo, to save you sort of being sick all the time or needing a sick bucket, as we all think of chemotherapy. But it was about 6 months of chemo, of which during that time I lost my hair, which was a big thing for me as well. It's a big thing for any woman. And a lot of women, I think, treat it differently. Some women don't mind being bald, and they see it as being a kind of, well, I'm going to beat this and I don't care how I look, I'm going out there and I'm going to fight this, and which is great if that's the way they want to handle it. For me, I wanted to get my wig, and that became a very important part for me. Well, I've tried this red wig on, and I've also tried a mango one, which is very similar to my last wig. And as much as I love this, and I think I can pull it off, and it's great, I've decided that I've got a rough time to go through in the next few months, and this might just be a little bit too flamboyant when I'm having some sick days. So I'm going to go for the mango one, and I've decided that after chemo's finished, if everything works out really well, I'm going to come back, I'm going to get this, and I'm going to party and have a new look and a big celebration. That's my decision today. So I'll show you my new one a little bit later on. It's downstairs getting chopped up and fixed at the moment, so I'll show you it later. So can I put any sort of product on this, because I haven't really done. We have decided at the end of the day that we're going for this one. It's a mango mix, very similar to my last wig, but I really like this and I feel comfortable in it, and I think this is going to get me through my treatment and through the summer. So our lovely Margaret, who's been helping me today, she just tweaked a wee bit, and we're going to put some product on it, and hey, I'm going to go out and have a nice meal tonight and have some fun with my new hairdo. So I got my wig, and I went out there, and I had quite a lot of confidence, and I loved my wig and I bonded with it. And interestingly enough, about 2 years down the line, when I could have let it go, I wanted to hang on to it because I realised it had become a crutch, it had become a little friend. And it's something that helped me through a big chunk of my life, where otherwise I was feeling very vulnerable and scared. And this wig was, it was like a little friend to me, something that I relied on very heavily. And eventually I did let it go. And it was like saying goodbye to an old friend. That was actually quite emotional. I did recover from months of treatment. I did recover. And the doctors were really delighted. I'd gone in for my sort of 6-monthly consultations, and each time I was sent away with the good news that I was doing really well, and they thought I'd beaten it. And 2 years later I discovered that it had come back. And when cancer comes back, 9 times out of 10 it's incurable. And unfortunately, where my cancer had come back was up at my collarbone, up here. It's where I felt it. That's why I knew there was something wrong. And we went back to the hospital, and very quickly they had me in for another scan, and I knew by their faces that there was something wrong. I think when you've been in hospital that length of time and you get to sit and talk to doctors and nurses, you actually get to know by their expressions when there's something wrong. And I realised very quickly that there was something wrong, and it was confirmed that yes, the cancer had come back. And this time it also spread to my liver, and also a few spots were discovered in my lungs. And I realised then very quickly that this was a different ballgame. This was something completely different from the first time. And I think the first time round there was a lot of hope that I was going to get my surgery and it was all going to get removed, and that was it, I was going to recover. This time round I didn't feel that sense of hope quite so much. And the fact that it was incurable just sent me into a completely different place. And I got to say the first couple of weeks trying to digest that news was just unbelievable. It was so difficult, and I felt lost, as did Steve. The two of us were like lost children. We didn't know what to do. And that's when MAGGIE'S, the cancer care centre, really came into its own. And although we'd used them in the past, we went back again and really, really relied on them heavily. And went into counselling for many months after that, because we were just in a place that we just didn't know what to do. And we were very strong people. Mentally, together we're a strong couple, but it just didn't prepare us for what we had to face. So we've had 2 very long years now of treatments that haven't worked, and we're now on to the last treatment coming up very shortly. I'm going to be trying another chemotherapy, and it's in the hands of the gods now, as they say.
Jackie launched herself into making her final album. It was important for her to leave a legacy, at the same time raising funds for Maggie's Care Centre in her hometown of Kirkcaldy. The fact that she was recording again gave her something to get up for in the mornings, and she certainly put everything into it. In between the recording of the album, I asked her to take us to some very special places in her life, and to see the sheer joy on her face on these days was something I'll always remember. Watching Jackie and Steve return to the place they were married at, Fernie Castle, was a very special occasion, and we used footage from that visit in the video for the first single to come from the album.
I'm not yours and baby, you're not mine. We've got something and it sure is fine. Let's take our love one night at a time. There's one thing that we both agree. I like you and baby you like me. Let's take our love one night at a time. All night, love all night. Practice makes Gonna get it right, gonna get it right, one night at a time. I'm gonna get it right, one night at a time. I'm gonna get it right, one night at a time.
Here we are at a place called Fernie Castle, which is the site of where we got married, which was probably the best day of my life. Here we are, our very own stag do. So there we go.
And what date was that, darling?
She always does this because she thinks I can't remember it was the 7th of June.
2003.
That's right.
And it was slightly warmer than this, but do you know, I don't mind when we come back to Fernie Castle because it's just such a beautiful site.
Yeah,
Lots of lovely memories.
it was great. It was
Yeah.
a wonderful, wonderful time. Yeah.
All I'm thinking is that you've worked with many animals in your time, but can I ask you if you've ever worked with chickens?
I guess it proves I can still attract the birds after all.
The birds
Yeah.
are definitely
Look at
pecking
that.
at your ankles.
Look at that.
One of my memories is us coming out there, the main door, and we had rice, and all our friends and family were waiting to throw it at us. You can't do anything for the chickens. What do they say? Never work with children and animals.
I know, honestly, behave. Go on, cheer yourself up, off you go. Come on, come on, come on.
One of my favourite memories was after we got married was walking through that main door.
Yeah.
And we were greeted by 50 of our most wonderful friends and family. And they were about to cover us in rice. But it was great. And the sun was out, unlike today.
It was one of those days where everything went right. All the guests, they were all entertainers. They were dancers, singers, musicians, comedians. And so we didn't have a band because we didn't need one, because everybody just decided to get up and make our own entertainment.
We had our own cabaret.
Yeah, exactly. It was a terrific day where everything went right. Just a great place. It was a wonderful day and we had a fantastic time. And
Yeah.
it was the beginning of a great life together.
It most certainly was.
Yeah, it was.
And if we could turn back time, a more straightforward time in our life. We'd got a job working on a cruise ship as a duo. We were a duo act. And it was just a lovely ship that was perfect for us. We got to travel the world. We had a career together. We're best friends. You know, we had a marriage. We could be together all the time. It was just a very wonderful, charmed life that we had, that we totally enjoyed. And it was out there for us. We could probably have it for the next 5-10 years should we wanted it. And we were just about to set off on another 5-month contract. And that was when I went into hospital to get the lump checked, because I thought, I don't want to be somewhere like, you know, Australia or somewhere, and suddenly I get told I've got cancer again. I wanted to be close to home if there was anything that had gone wrong. And literally within 24 hours, instead of packing to go away on a world cruise, I was packing to go off to hospital to go in for more chemotherapy. And instead of going off to have a lovely life and travel the world and spend money and whatever, we suddenly were like destitute, because our whole career, our job, our livelihood was just stopped within, you know, a day. What we knew is our life was over. No one could ever imagine what it's like unless you've been in that position yourself. And that I think is what we both found so difficult. It was just like our life had just been swept away. Cancer doesn't choose its victims. It doesn't matter what age you are, you know, what culture you've come from, your background. I think you just have to lead your life as best you possibly can. And if it's going to get you, it's going to get you. But just try and live as best you can, as healthily as you can. And also, I think as well, try and live in the moment and enjoy your life. It's the one thing I would say to people is, don't put off till tomorrow. Don't put off until next week. If there's something that you want to do it now. You know, if you can, do it now. Because it's the one thing that cancer has taught me, that it can come along at any time. And nobody's really prepared for it. And there's so many things in life that you might want to do, and cancer can rob your life in days and in weeks. You know, I've had 6 years to live with it, and in that time where I've had my health, I've really made the most of it. And I could say that I'm probably one of the lucky ones, if you want to use the word lucky, that I've had the chance to do that. There's some people that get diagnosed one day and they pass away a week or a month later. They don't get the opportunities to do all their wishes. So do it now and really make the most of life.
Well, this is a spring day in Scotland. It's very cold, but I just had to bring you to South Queensferry. This is one of my favourite places in the world, and it is most certainly my favourite bridge in the world. And I've managed to travel around the world quite a bit with my work and seen some fabulous harbours and bridges, and sailed into Sydney Harbour and Grand Harbour in Malta. But look at what's behind me, the Forth Rail Bridge. It's just fantastic, and it doesn't matter what the weather is when you come here. It can be misty, it could be a sunset, it could be blue sky. It's just absolutely beautiful. And I love coming here. And I just wanted to show you it today. And I'll tell you another reason I wanted to show you this today is I have a very special song that I'm recording for my album. It's a Scottish song that was written by Dougie MacLean called Caledonia. It's like the anthem for Scotland now. And when I'm abroad, I feel so patriotic being Scottish, and that is one of my favourite songs to sing. And I just had to put it on the album.
Now I'm going home. Oh, and if I should be a stranger, you know that it would make me more than sad. 'Cause Caledonia's been everything I've ever had. Caledonia, you're everything I've ever had.
Well, today we are back in studio with my good friend Willie Logan, who is engineering the album and who has done a lot of work for me on some of my previous albums. And we are busy doing some guide vocals today. And we're working on a song called But I Will, which was a hit for Faith Hill, one of my favourite country singers. And it's a song that I've been singing for many, many years, and one that I felt I'd like to record for the album. So here we are up in this lovely attic studio. I just love being up here. And we've just been working on a few guide vocals and see how it all goes.
Remember when I said the next time would be the last time? That time came this morning when you came in. You always had a line to change my mind, so I guess you thought I'd just let you break my heart again. I don't wanna stop loving you, but I will. I don't like waking up alone, but I will. You're the darling, I will try to make it clear. I don't want to stop loving you, but I will. I don't like waking up alone, but I will. You're the only one who could make my heart stand still. I don't want to let you go, but I will. You're the only one who can make my heart stand still. I don't want to let you go, but I will.
Well, here we are at Ravenscraig Beach in Kirkcaldy. It's one of my favourite beaches in Fife, and it's a place that I come just to have a nice walk and think about things, because one of the things about cancer is you need time to really digest what's happening to you and to your life, and what better place to come than this fantastic beach and coastline. And there's something wonderful about looking out to sea. It's a sort of symbol to make you realise that there is a big world out there. There's still opportunities, and even with cancer, there's still life. Life goes on, and we got to make the most of it. And there's also good reasons I come down here as well. I love going for romantic walks with Steve, and we've had plenty of these, and it doesn't matter what the weather is, it's just still a beautiful place to come. And there's a little bit of history on this beach as well. We actually have the 39 steps, and the 39 steps was the inspiration for John Buchan to write his book, which of course is made into the film The 39 Steps. And if you keep walking further along the coastline, there's a great woodland trail. I haven't done it myself, but it takes you all the way up to St Andrews. But just up there is a fabulous tree, and I call it the sentinel tree because it looks like a great big scarecrow, as if it's protecting me from the outside world. And I took a fabulous picture of that for one of my photograph exhibitions, and I have that picture to this day. And the tree's just up there in the woodland. So yeah, this beach has got a lot of great memories for me, and what a great day to come back. The sun is out, we've got some blue sky. And one of the other things about this beach is that I did a photo shoot here about 6 years ago when I released my single Caledonia. And of course Caledonia is a very special Scottish folk ballad, and I wanted something that would represent Scotland, and what better way than a fantastic ruined castle that's sitting up there on the hillside. And I came down here on the beach and did a fabulous photo shoot for that single. So yeah, there's lots of great memories on Ravenscraig Beach for me. I love it. I've been very fortunate that throughout my life I've had a career that's allowed me to travel a lot and to work abroad and to meet some amazing people. So I've always grabbed life, if you want to say that. But when cancer comes along, I've just developed this squeezing the joy out of every day, because you have to, because you don't know what's happening tomorrow. So yes, it does certainly focus your life and what you want to do with it, and not having any wasted opportunities. And there is a saying about a bucket list that people have developed, that saying now over the years. The first time I heard about it was the film The Bucket List. And of course it's about people doing lots of stuff before they kick the bucket and they get all their wishes done. But I think a lot of people now have just sort of taken that saying and they use it just for sort of making dreams come true and wanting to do stuff. But actually having a bucket list
and truly being able to do stuff that you have wanted to do all your life and you make it happen, that really is a focus of when you have cancer, because you know that time is not a luxury. And there's a lot of people that will say to me, yeah, but we can walk out the front door and be run over by a bus. And that's absolutely true. Nobody knows what's ahead of them. But what I would say to that is that yes, but you still get up every morning with that freedom of that you are going to go out and enjoy your day, whether it be at work, whether it be with friends, whatever it is, and you do not have to think about cancer or dying. Where when you're living with cancer, every single day it's on your mind. Sometimes more than others. I think it depends where you are with your illness and how it's affecting your life. When I'm in pain, it's there constantly. These are the bits that people don't get to see. Even friends don't always get to see, because I don't always want to show them. And I tend to want to be a bit more cheerful and happy. But there's other days where you just can't be. There's other days where the pain won't allow you to have that joy because it's so intense. And one of the things that I have been suffering from lately is nerve pain. I don't think I could describe that to anybody. The way I've tried to describe it to Steve is that imagine picking up a hot coal from a fire and having that hot coal in your hand and you can't put it down. That's what it feels like all the time. So when you're living with something like that, sometimes you just don't want to go out and do that bucket list thing because you're in so much pain. But when things are a little easier and you've got a little bit more health, I'm not going to waste any time. And that bucket list thing comes into play. And I remember Steve would go out to the shops, or he'd go out and do an errand for me, and he'd come back in and he'd never know where he was going to go to next week because I'd have something booked up. You know, it's like, okay, so we're off to Venice because that was the next thing on my bucket list, or we're off to Paris because that was the next thing on my bucket list. And you have to do them now. And if you get the opportunity and the chance, then that's what I've been doing. Really, really fulfilling that bucket list.
This is day 12 of my chemo, and this is when I start to feel just that little bit better. And after spending over a week in bed feeling pretty lousy, it's really nice to get out and do something. So today I've come up to see my mum and dad, and in fact my mum and I are going to go downtown and do a little bit of girly shopping. So let's go in and see if she's ready. This is mum and dad's house, by the way. Hello!
Oh, hello, Dad.
Hello.
Just making a cup of tea for you. Dad, would you like a cup of tea?
Give us a hug, give us a hug.
Oh, lovely to see you.
Say hi to the camera.
Hi, camera. How are you doing? Right,
Well,
get you some wee cup of tea.
I'm not going to have tea because we're going to head downtown and do some shopping today,
Oh,
aren't
well.
we? So you can make Dad
I'll
one.
make Dad a wee cup of tea.
And
I'll,
have you got your credit card with you?
yes, I have. We'll spend quite a lot of money.
Mum and I love going shopping.
We just love it.
Lots of girlies
Love it.
days.
Girly days.
And this
Yeah.
is me hopefully feeling a wee bit better now on this round of chemo. And well, we just want to have a good time today, don't we?
we are. We're going to have a good
By
time.
the way, I spy a big casserole dish. Is that for us by any chance?
Yes, I made that for the two of you for your
Really?
dinner tonight. Yes, would you like
See,
to see it?
This is what I love
Look at that.
about having a mum who does wonderful traditional home cooking. And there's a big casserole pot there. What's underneath it? Is it
There's a great big pot of mince, and there's turnip, and there's carrots, and there's new potatoes, and there's broccoli.
Well, Steve, that's you off the hook for dinner tonight. Just stick it in the
Sure.
oven. Aw, thanks, Mum.
Oh, you're welcome anytime, darling.
I'm at quite a difficult stage now with my cancer. For almost 2 years, I have had relentless chemotherapy or trial drugs. There was a trial last year that I was willing to undertake because I really believed that it was going to be the thing that was going to save my life. Unfortunately, it didn't work. And during that 4 or 5 month period, I had the most horrendous side effects that I've ever experienced. It was probably worse than all the chemotherapies put together. I didn't know that at the time, and I was willing to take that chance because I wanted to cling to anything that was going to give me that bit longer life. And the side effects were so gruelling that I feel I'd lost 4 or 5 months of my life at a time where I possibly could have had a better quality if I hadn't been on a drug. But that's the chance you have to take. And I don't have any regrets, because if I hadn't have gone on the drug, I would always been wondering, what if? Would that have been the one that would have saved my life? Would that be the one that might have just given me that extra couple of years? So it's a very difficult decision to make, because sometimes, you know, I could feel worse because of the drug, but hopefully it's going to make me better. But in my case, it didn't make me better. So sometimes you go, it was all for nothing. Now I'm about to start a new chemotherapy. When I say new, it's actually a drug that I have tried before about 2 years ago. It's an aggressive chemotherapy. I know what I'm in for because I have been there before with it. But again, it's a chance that I'm going to take. If it works, this may give me a little longer life. This might give me that Christmas that I want, the next Christmas, or it might give me that next birthday next year. It really is my last hope now, because we have gone through the list of drugs that are available for my type of cancer. If it doesn't work, then we just have to let nature take its course. But right now I'm prepared to go through the next 2 or 3 months with the side effects in the hope that I will get longer at the other end. And right now I feel I owe it to myself, to Steve, to my family, to my friends, to give it this one last shot. It's not all bad. It's a 21-day cycle, and there's a few days at the end of that cycle that they come good, and your body starts to recover and you get a bit more strength, preparing you for the next round. So during these few days, that's when I've got to make the most of it. And that's what I'll be trying to do, is not lose the next 3 months of my life, but just go, you know, when these good days come around, I've got to try and make the most of that with my friends and family and keep living. And hopefully when the scan comes up, it will show that somehow it's either halted the tumours or shrunk them a bit. That's the best result that we could hope for. And I will get a bit of time at the other end, because this chemotherapy unfortunately can't go on forever. At some point they will have to take me off it. And when I come off it, that is it. I can't go back on this one again, because your body gets so used to the chemotherapies that the cancer will become resistant. So this is my last shot. I think that's why I'm doing it, because I feel I owe it to myself to have this one last shot.
How do you feel about this whole project? Obviously, the album, which is very, very special indeed to both of you. Jackie says, you know, she wants this to be her legacy, and putting all your efforts into this as well. Something very, very positive at the end of it.
It's kind of bittersweet in the sense that, I mean, at the moment we have a working title for the album, but it's not been finalised. So at the moment, all the project files on the computers just sort of say Legacy Album, because in effect that's what it is. It's Jackie wanting to leave a legacy behind, and it's really her wanting to put down some of the songs that have meant something to her. So they're not necessarily always songs that we've written together. If we were writing an album like purely for commercial use, we would probably write what you might call a better balanced album that has more, you know, with more of a thought towards commercialism. But actually, all the songs on here are songs which mean something to Jackie particularly. One of the songs on the album is a song called "The Future's Ours Tonight," which is actually the very first song that we ever wrote together. we were kind of getting very friendly. But, nothing had kind of quite happened. And I remember at the time thinking, I'm not sure whether I really want to kind of get involved in all this. And so she went away and wrote these lyrics for this song. And she said, could you put some music to this song? And I mean, I read these lyrics, and it was very clear that these lyrics, she was trying to tell me something in the lyrics of this song. And I remember I sort of sat up one morning, like I think 2:00 in the morning, and I found a piano in one of the restaurants that was closed down somewhere, and switched a little light on, and I sat up for about an hour and a half, and I wrote the music for this song. And the next day, and it's a beautiful song that's always meant an awful lot to us, but never got released. So consequently, we're actually going to finally record this song properly, and that's going to be on the album. So it's kind of, all the songs have a story to them.
You and I, two lonely people, haunted by the past, afraid of letting go, still holding on to yesterday instead of for today. Now it's time to trust our heart again, let it lead the way. So come, let me love you, let's take it nice and slow. Let me hold you, touch you, like no one has before. Take me in your arms, let's hold each other tight. Don't look back, the future's ours tonight.
And I guess this project is giving you both a lot of strength as well, which can take your mind off a lot of the horrible things that are going on at the moment.
Absolutely, there's no two ways about it. It is a bittersweet project to be involved in. The sweet side of it is how wonderful everybody has been, how many people there are who want to get involved. I mean, we've got musicians literally all around the world who are playing on this album. It is a bittersweet thing because obviously I would much rather know that Jackie and I were together, for forever, rather than be making this album. But I know that it would be something that would be concrete, that would be left behind as an important milestone of this is who Jackie was. And from that point of view, I want to make sure that we make the best possible album that we possibly can.
Beauty is within grasp. Hear the highlands call. The last mile is upon us. I'll carry you if you fall. I know the armor's heavy now. I know the heart inside is beautiful just over the wild mountainside. Snow is falling all over out of clear blue skies. Crow is flying high over. You and I are gonna wander high up where the air is rare. Wild horses ride is beautiful, just roaming the wild mountainside. Wild and free we'll roam. Only a mile to go. Wild and free we'll roam. Only a mile to go. Beauty is within grasp. Hear the islands call, the last mile is upon us. I'll carry you if you fall. I know the armor's heavy now, I know the heart inside is beautiful just over the wild mountainside, is beautiful just roaming the wild mountainside. Let's go over, let's go roaming, let's go over, let's go roaming.
I said to Jackie when we got married that, one of my big jobs in life is going to be to make you laugh every day. And even through all of this, I try as much as I possibly can to make her laugh as much as possible. And she makes me laugh, but in her case, it's probably more by accident than design. But, we are definitely a team, in the classic sense of what marriage I think is supposed to be. She completes me and I complete her. And it's one of the things that I find so difficult is to imagine what my life will be like without her, because we are a perfect team. I don't, it's not something I'm trying to spend too much time thinking about, because that will happen. But at the moment, I'm focused on making her as happy and as comfortable as I possibly can, and making this album as good as it can possibly be. Right now, it's a challenge for her to just kind of get through the days, but she meets that challenge, and she makes me proud of her every day. I am always in awe of how well she does, and I like to think that there's a little bit of support from and energy from me that buoys her up. We do the best that we can.
Today we've come all the way from Kirkcaldy across to Edinburgh to the Western General Hospital, and today is the day I have my nerve block, and basically I've had nerve pain in my arm and hand for the last few months. This week has been so bad that they've had to give me an emergency appointment. And I gotta say, my stomach's going round like a tumble dryer today. I'm not looking forward to this. They put an injection in here in my neck and they freeze all the nerve all the way down my arm. But hopefully at the end of this, I'm going to get some relief. So it doesn't come without its complications. So fingers crossed today that it's a successful procedure. And I'll see you hopefully in an hour or two. So come on, let's go in and get it done. I'm glad it's over. I can't speak. My voice has gone husky.
It'll feel better later. We came across a really great singer-songwriter called Alan West, who lives down in the West Country, down in England. And he works with this particular guy called Steve Black. And Steve Black sort of said to us, look, we really must get together and do a writing session sometime. And we said, oh, absolutely. But of course, we live in Scotland and he lives in, Devon, Cornwall, somewhere around there. So it's not exactly handy for the tube. So it got quite difficult for us to get together, and it just sort of never happened. And then when we were down for the awards ceremony where Jackie was inducted into the Hall of Fame, he said, we must get together and write those songs we were going to write. And I basically had to take him to one side and say, look, I don't think we're going to be able to have the energy to do this. So I think you're going to have to write it yourself. So he basically communicated with Jackie, and Jackie sent him just an A4 sheet of things that she wanted to say. And he came back, I don't know, I think it was about 3 or 4 weeks later with this song that is one of the most emotional things I've ever heard in my life. And if we only were to record that one song, that would be enough, I think.
I stand here tonight with songs in my heart, with memories to share, emotions to bear before the end starts. With you on my side, I have nothing to hide. It's time for the truth. I have no more to lose or keep deep inside. This night it feels right to tell you the fear is so real. This night I'm free and I'm here to admit what I feel. Here with you on this night, I've done what I can. I've loved and I've cried. We've laughed and we've danced to the beat of a chance. Now the chance is denied, but still I walk on with you all in my soul. I'm amazed through the haze in a glorious way. You've been there when I fall. This night feels right to tell you the fear is so real. This night I'm free and I'm here to admit what I feel. Here with you on this night. You've been the rock in my life, my star in the sky, shining bright. What tears me apart, leaving you will break my heart. So I stand here tonight with hope and a dream that as time moves on, you'll stay safe and strong in memory of me.
Today we're at a very special place here in Dunfermline. It holds a lot of memories for me, the Carnegie Hall. Let's go in and find out why. Well, here we are at Carnegie Hall in Dunfermline, and this place holds lots of memories for me. When I was a child, I used to come to Dunfermline and spend all my school holidays here with my grandparents, And the amount of times I used to go by Carnegie Hall and see posters up for some of all the acts way back in the 70s. There was like Lena Martell, we had the Nolan sisters, we had Dana, Joe Longthorne, all these people. And I used to think one day I would just love to play Carnegie Hall. I didn't know if it would happen for me or not, but it did. Quite a few years later, but I did my very first theatre concert through the doors through there into the main auditorium. And just even standing here again, the box office, my posters were up behind the box office, and at the front door there I had my big posters up, and it was a great experience. And just to think that so many years later that I was able to come here and fulfill one of my childhood dreams, that was pretty special.
So really, looking back, the Carnegie Hall was the big gig in your career.
It was, and it really should have been the stepping stone and the launch to many, many more. But unfortunately, cancer took over, and it stopped so many things. It's not stopped me from having a life, but certainly it stopped me from making plans for the future, because it certainly comes along and it just sends you on a completely different road that you hadn't even thought about. And I would love to do more gigs and theatre shows in a place like this. But, we fast forward now almost 7 years, and I'm now struggling very, very hard with terminal cancer. And I know that this part of my career is over. My one great wish would be to be able to do one last concert. I'd love to get back on that stage and have my band around me and relive that moment again, if I could. But I don't really know what long-term future is going to have for me, if I'd be able to do that or not. So yeah, coming back here, it really does stir up a lot of old memories. I mean, you could maybe say they're bittersweet now, but that night here will stay with me forever.
Radio has been a big part of your life and your career as well. How did you get into it in the first place?
I started off in radio when I was about 17, and I remember being invited along to my local hospital radio station, and I was supposed to go along and sing a couple of country gospel songs for them. And during the interview, they said, "You have a really nice voice for radio. Have you ever thought of doing a radio show?" It never crossed my mind, to be honest, but I found myself working in hospital radio for a couple of years. And then there was a competition advertised by my local station called Radio Tay, and they were looking for a new presenter. And you had to send off, in these days, a tape, a cassette tape, talking about your hometown, which I did. And I got a phone call about 6 months later to say, "You're one of our finalists. Would you like to come up and present your own show?" And that's really how my professional radio career started. And I was at Radio Tay for about 8 years doing various shows. And a few years later, I decided it was time to sort of fly the nest, as they say. And I heard about a station that had opened up in Malta called Radio Calypso. And I thought, that sounds like a good job, working in the sunshine. And I applied to work out there and got the job. And it was very different for me because I was suddenly working on a breakfast show, and getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning was something completely new. And I was more of a night bird, so that was different. But I got used to it. And I suppose when you've got a nice beach and sunshine waiting for you in the afternoon, it's it was a great sort of social life as well. And I worked hard over there, and a couple of years down the line, I was working on a bigger station on the mainland island of Malta, and I got promoted to programme controller. So in a career, that was a big move. That's what every radio presenter, I would think, aspires to get to one day, is to be programme controller. And I did that for 3 years. I had about 12 presenters who worked for me in the station. But like all things, it was coming to an end. I'd done 5 years out in Malta. I'd achieved a lot. I think one of the highlights was when I got to interview Charlton Heston. He arrived in Malta and set up an interview for all the media, and that was a great moment to have one of the Hollywood icons on your doorstep. But I was doing a lot of singing at that time as well, and I found myself working from 5 in the morning till sometimes midnight, and you can't always keep that going for a long length of time. And I thought maybe now is the time to give singing my full-time attention, and put my radio on hold for a little while. And that's what I did. I moved back to London and signed up with an agency, and I started working on cruise ships, and that's how my singing career started off.
And of course, you've been all over the world. You've seen some fantastic places.
It's unbelievable as time has gone on, and I've sort of ticked off various countries. At the last count, I think it was something like 82 countries that I had actually visited through my work, through singing. Most of that has been through working on cruise ships, but I've also done a lot of land-based gigs. I've gone on tour myself with my husband, who's also my keyboard player, and I've just had a fantastic time being able to travel the world and have a career at the same time. And some of the places I doubt I'd ever get to, like Bora Bora, for example, Mumbai, Greenland. It's been amazing. And I'm so glad that I've had the opportunity to travel and do these things, especially while I had my health. And I think, if anything, that's the one thing that, having cancer, it really brings it home to you, is do things now. Don't put off. Do it while you've got the opportunity and while you've still got your health. And I look back and I've had a wonderful life. Well, today I'm back at Radio Tay, where it all began many years ago. And with me in the studio is Ali Bali, who was my boss way back in the 80s. And it's lovely to be able to speak to Ali today, and in a very different looking studio, I've got to say.
I think we've smartened it up a little bit, haven't we? It's
just a little.
Just a little, yes. It is now red where it was tartan fabric, and believe it or not, there is still a reel of that fabric up the stairs, but I've got it hidden because we don't want it really. But it was all dark, and it was dark wood, dark ceiling, and this tartan taking us way back to the 1980s. So that's gone. We've got this bright studio now.
People might pay good money for that tartan stuff,
No, I've tried.
I must admit, it's great to be back here at Radio Tay, because this is where it all started for me many, many years ago. Well, I've got to say, it does hold a lot of great memories for me. And it was actually 8 years that I spent at Radio Tay. And I should say that with me in the studio today is Ali Bali, who was my boss here. And I don't know if you remember, Ali, that the actual beginning of my radio career was something called Voice of 85.
I was just trying to work out what the year was. It was a competition that I came up with. I got Thomas Cook at that time to give us some vouchers, some holiday vouchers as the main prize. And I thought, right, okay, we're going to try and get some new voices here. Let's find out who is out there. And we ran the competition, Voice of 85. Yeah.
And I got a phone call from you, I think 6 months down the line, saying you're one of our 5 finalists, and every night that week our finalists is getting to do their own radio show. And I came up with my dad. I mean, I was so nervous back then. I remember I was in this proper radio studio, and we did a 2-hour show together, and you helped me along the way. And funnily enough, after that, I think it must have been a few months again down the line, that we waited and you phoned me up to say that you'd got a country show for me to do, because you knew I liked country music.
And what also helped there, when your letter and the demo tape first came in, of course, just taking you back a little bit, was that we both were part of Hospital Radio in Kirkcaldy. I, myself, Colin Johnson and Richard Park, the 3 of us set it up many moons ago. And then, and I've always said, that one of the best training grounds is Hospital Radio, and one of the best in Scotland, if not the UK. It was at that time. Now they don't have us there, of course, it's different. But it was VRN in Kirkcaldy. So it was a great training ground.
It was a great little station. You were the one that taught me all these years ago, and I never ever got the chance to interview Ali Bali. So come on, how did I do?
Well, I think you've done not too badly, actually.
Good, good.
I mean, when you
I'll pass the test
yeah,
then.
yeah. I mean, you took your broadcasting skills from here and went to Malta and carried them over there, and we followed you with interest, and then you went on to the singing career and on the cruising and everything, and again, that was all part of what you had in you, and that was that communication gene, and that was evident to me the first time I met you, the first time you walked in here. You're a great communicator, and that's what you've carried on.
Ali, it's been lovely to see you again, and thank you very much for having me chat to me today.
Pleasure.
Students from the graphic design department of Fife College designed and produced the artwork for Jackie's album Behind Her Eyes. The album was co-produced by both Steve and Willie Logan. There were contributions from literally all over the world from musicians who had known Jackie for many years and wanted to be part of the project. Willie explained what that project meant to him.
This is a really, really unusual project for me, and because I know Jackie and Steve very, very well and they're very, very good friends, it can become quite emotional. Some of the tracks have actually got to me at times. Some of the stories that Steve and me have actually shared have again got to me. But as far as producing the album is concerned, you have to detach yourself from all these kind of things, all the emotional connections, and you have to treat it as a project and as any other project. And all I really want to do is do the best I possibly can for Jackie and Steve and make them the best album that I can possibly make them.
Over time, we've developed a great working relationship together. I mean, he really is, he's a terrific musician, and he's got an amazing voice, and he's a great songwriter, and he's a very good engineer, and I should probably hate him, but it's a great person to work. If I want to be in the studio with somebody, he's probably the most creative, interesting person that I've worked in the studio with ever, I would say, and it's great because we have a nice kind of I wouldn't call it friction. I think he sometimes thinks that I'm picky, but it's quite interesting actually. I think at the end of it, he's just as picky, but he's just picky about different things. So I think the two of us come together and create something that is bigger than what he would have created on his own or what I would have created on my own. And so I'm very excited about the way that this album is coming together, because it's developing a kind of a sound. And it's nice because obviously every album that you do, you want to kind of progress and move on. And I definitely feel that the sound of this album is going to be just that bit better than the sound of the last album.
Because of Jackie's condition, we decided that if we spent time creating the tracks and making them sound as complete as we possibly could, it might get to the point where Jackie was in mid-chemo, or she wasn't well enough, or just too tired to do the vocals. So we made the decision, do it upside down. Instead of waiting till the tracks are finished or in a good state to sing to, we'll get Jackie to sing first. Now, how we did this was we either used a backing track that Jackie had maybe sung to before, and we had her sing to this, or I played a bit of guitar, or I played some piano against a click track. Then from that point, we had Jackie's vocal, and we erased everything else, leaving just Jackie's vocal. Then we went into the studio, recorded Steve drums. And then we started adding the other instruments from all over the UK and contributors all over the world, as far as Australia. Everything came via the internet back to me, and Steve and me fitted everything back in to the original recording with Jackie and his drums. So everything's completely upside down. It's a really strange process, but that just shows you how much technology has progressed, because you don't have tapes anymore to send to people. You don't have to courier things anymore. You just put it on your computer, press a button, and you can have someone record for you in Australia or New York or Cambridge or Kelty, whatever you want.
I think the upside down nature of the recording of this project has lent itself to the digital domain. Because of Jackie's condition, we felt that we needed to record her vocals as quickly as we possibly could, because we thought, well, we'll get something down. I mean, originally we thought even if it only ends up being a guide vocal, at least we've got something down.
Steve and me have a very interesting relationship in the recording studio. He has very specific ideas about what he wants, and I have very specific ideas about what I think it should sound like. And we can spend a lot of time debating on different little tiny issues. But it's a good process, because if it's one person and one person's ideas working on a track or working on a project, it can become quite flat. You need other input. You need a bit of friction. You need a bit of debate. You need diversity from ideas. And Steve and me can have a good laugh, which is really bizarre because of the tone of why we're doing this. But we can have a good time discussing things and battling things out. Like, no, I don't want that bass note to play there. I don't want that cymbal there. I think the harmony should be this. We argue about all these things, but it's not destructive arguments. It's positive, constructive arguments, which is what producers should do.
But there will be times when there's you've got different ideas about how a track should go. Who has the final say?
That's a good question. Well, of course, Willie will always say that he has the final idea. Actually, it's sort of difficult, because I have to say, when you work with somebody who you trust, if he has a good idea and he feels passionately about it, I'm usually pretty good at going, okay, if he feels passionately about that, then I trust you, we'll go with that idea, even if it's not necessarily my idea. But it means we've been creative. And I have to say, this has been a very creative experience. Probably one of the best I've had for ages, really.
I did my best to notice when the call came down the line, up to the platform of surrender. I was brought, but I was kind. And sometimes I get nervous when I see an open door. Close your eyes, clear your heart. Cut the cord. Are we human, or are we dancers? My sign is vital. My hands are cold, and I'm on my we dancer? My sign is vital. My hands are cold, and I'm on my knees looking for the answer. Are we human, or are we dancers? Are we human, or are we dancers? Are we human, or are we dancers?
Well, here we are back at Carnegie Hall on a very special day because this is our 13th wedding anniversary. And we've come back here for a very special reason. What do you give each other on your 13th wedding anniversary? Well, for the first time here at Carnegie Hall, they have started doing Name a Seat. And with our background in theatre and music, we thought, what a wonderful gift that would be to each other. So we haven't seen them. We are the first ones up there on the seats. So shall we go and have a look?
Yeah, come on, I'll be excited.
I'm excited
Yeah,
too.
come on then.
Come on then, let's go.
I think so, yeah.
Oh, fabulous. They're up. They are there. We chose these seats special, row E, 9 and 10. They're going to be our seats for the next 10 years. And you know, the money from this goes to the arts in Fife, so it's all going to a good cause. And I just like the idea that whatever happens in my life, Steve and I will have a seat together in this theatre for the next 10 years. This is my one to my darling wife, Jackie Storrar. 13 years together on the 7th of June 2016, which is today's date. And then he's got, do you love me? And we have a little smiley face, just so everyone knows it is a little bit of a joke, but yeah, that's just our little thing. Yeah, I just feel that it'd be lovely to have something here, you know, for 10 years. And years to come, you can still come to the theatre and read our plaques, and we'll remember this day. So come on then, what does yours say? This is my gift to you.
It says, a forever gift to my loving husband, Steve Theobald. Stay safe and strong in memory of me. It's a line from one of the songs. In fact, it's a song that Steve Black wrote for us. And yeah.
It kind of sums it up, really. The thing I want more than anything is that when something happens to me, that this man here will be safe and will go on to have a happy life and know that I'll always be with him. And I think that line sums it up perfectly. So happy anniversary.
But as time moves on, you'll stay safe and strong in memory of me.
Well, here we are at Maggie's. I've been coming here for 6 years along with Steve, and they've been a great source of help to us, and I think today we should go in and see why.
Coffee?
And I think I'll have a cup of tea.
Yeah, go on then.
This is the great thing about Maggie's, is you can be over at the hospital having an appointment, and then suddenly you can come across here and have this lovely warm welcome. You don't feel like a patient anymore, and then we sit around the table and have a nice cup of tea. So thanks, Ali. Looking forward to it. I know one of the hardest things about coming into Maggie's is walking through that door for the very first time. And it's very difficult for me to find a word to describe who I am. I'm not a patient, I'm an individual, and that is the great thing about coming into Maggie's. But how do you get that across to other people who want to come and visit for the first time?
Yeah, because I think there is an apprehension about people coming through the door. They maybe don't know what Maggie's is. And Maggie's is here for anybody at any stage of cancer, and their family and their friends, anybody affected, to get support as they come through the door. So as somebody walks through the door, you know, the buildings are all meant to be light, uplifting spaces, and one of our main things is giving people a warm welcome as they come through the door, and then working out how we can help them and what we can do. But you're right, coming through the door can be quite a nerve-wracking thing for people to do.
And how important is the fundraising for Maggie's? Because we're based here in the one in Fife, but I know you are expanding all over the UK at the moment, and it doesn't run itself. So how important is it for locals to be giving money to the centres?
Well, everything that we do here at Maggie's is based on donations and fundraising. Our entire programme of care is money that has been raised by people for us, or donations, and we're completely reliant on that. We don't get money from outside sources. Everything that's raised is raised, and everything that's raised here in Fife stays in Fife in this centre, so it helps us to run our programme every day. And I think it's something like £500,000 a year to run this centre, and all of that money is raised to run the centre, and that in turn pays for everything on the programme, from nutrition courses and psychology to the staff to everything that we do. Every single penny that's raised is actually used to run the centre.
Although you must come into the centre most days and get a lot of inspiration from the people who come in and the people you get to chat to, and they're going through such tough times with their diagnosis, it must be difficult, though, for you to go home at the end of the day and then just shut off and go back to your own life. I mean, how do you manage that?
Actually, one person asked me, surely that'd be a very depressing job to work in, and actually asked, you know, is that not where everybody goes to die? So there's a real misconception by some people who didn't know what a Maggie's was, but really it's the polar opposite. This is one of the best jobs in the world, and everybody who works in a Maggie's feels that. And actually it's a very uplifting job. We're helping people to enable themselves to find hope and strength. We're not prescribing things, it's actually about tapping into people's own strengths and empowering them and enabling, and that's what we're all about here. And so, you know, actually it's a really upbeat job, and you know, I meet the best people like yourself and Steve, are the best people ever on a daily basis. You know, we have no idea who's going to walk through the door, and that's an amazing part of the job, to meet a whole broad spectrum of life coming through the door, you know.
go and visit my mum and dad, and I normally come up and see them maybe about once a week, and they love when we come round. They're getting a bit older now, but they're doing really well, and they're really excited when we pop in. So we'll go and see them.
See the bell?
Hello. Hello. Would you like some visitors today?
Yeah, come in.
There you go.
Lovely to see you.
How are you?
Oh, fine. How are you?
Nice to see you.
Good to see you too.
Well, I'd just like to say a big thank you to my mum, because she has been helping so much while I've been ill. And one of her great things is she takes away my ironing. How many girls would love her mum to take away her ironing? And you make me casseroles every weekend, and you help me and Steve, and Dad comes down and he does a wee bit hoovering, and so yeah, they all are helping hand and look after me.
Oh, well, we love doing it. It's the least we can do, because you're a lovely daughter.
So I've got a great mum, and she's 82. Can you believe that? So it's great to come and see her.
That's lovely. Yeah.
I'm in Monifee, and with my friend Avril, and this feels like my second home, because I have been visiting this house for the best part of 25 years. I remember saying to Avril that she was my oldest friend, and she almost hit me, and she said, enough of the old.
Yeah, I remember at your wedding, Steve saying, this is Jackie's very old friend. One old would have been enough.
So I've changed that.
Yes, thank you.
And over the years, I actually think of Avril as my big sister, because I didn't have a sister. I always wanted one, but I never had one. And I think you've gone more than just to be a friend, Avril.
Oh, thank you.
You have looked out for me as only a sister could. And for all these years, good and bad, and that's a great thing. You've been there for me when I've had lots of happy times, and you've been there for me when things have sort of not been so good, and you've really helped pick me up. And you know, that means an awful lot to me, especially in these last sort of 2 or 3 years where it's been quite tough. But I sort of wanted just to say a little bit about our friendship, because, I mean, as I said, we'd go back an awful long way, don't we?
Absolutely.
And there's so many things that we have memories of. And I think one of the best things was when we went off to Florida.
All right, okay. That's it was our family holiday in Scotland, and the boys, we were going away for 3 weeks. And I think you were in a wee bit of a down at that moment. And we said, you know, would you like to come for the middle week? And you jumped at it.
I did.
And it was really amazing.
And I think one of the funniest things was because men just don't understand how women like to shop.
Oh, I know.
And of course, Avril and I mean, we love to shop. That's one of our things, isn't it? And when we went to these big shopping malls in Florida, this was new for me as well. We'd go away for like maybe a couple of hours, and suddenly the men, you know, your husband and obviously your boys, they would come in and they would look for us and they'd be stomping, you know, because we'd taken so much time. But it was great. It was a great thing to do together.
And I always remember after when you went home, the boys had suddenly realised, you know, this was actually quite normal for women to actually like to go shopping. And they would say, Mum, have you had enough time shopping? Are you sure you've had enough time? Now, that never would have happened if you hadn't been out there. So you actually changed my life that way.
See that? Isn't that wonderful?
It was really, really good. And we all just got on so well. I mean, I just felt we were just a family. I mean, you were my little sister, and we were just all a family all together.
There's nothing quite like being able to pick up the phone and know you have a friend at the other end, and they're there for you, and they're going to listen to you. And whatever it is, you've been there for me and Steve all the way through. And I would just like to personally just say thank you, because you've been just a wonderful friend.
Oh, well, thank you. I just wish I'd been able to do more. I mean, like everyone else, if I could make it go away, you know, I would.
I know. But it is what it is. And in
life,
life,
I always feel so blessed that I was with you when you bought your favourite wig. That was, I just think to myself, and you've always had such a sort of bubbly, enthusiastic attitude, and to see your face light up when you tried on, the wig that you bought, it was just amazing. I thought, that was a special moment, and I'm just so glad I was there with you when you had that.
Oh, that's lovely. Because it's one of these things that you just don't think that a wig is going to become an
A friend.
important thing, exactly, in this sort of situation. But you were with me, and we knew instantly when I tried this on.
Absolutely.
It boosted my confidence. I've always respected your opinions about fashion and things as well. So that was a good moment, and it has become a little friend for me.
And I always take comfort knowing that Steve is there for you all the time. He's just such a fantastic husband, and I'm just so delighted that you met him.
Aww. Well, listen, I think you and I deserve a little hug.
I know. Before I get too emotional. Oh, thank you.
There we go.
I want this album to be something that I can leave behind. Music's been a very, very big part of my life, and it's also been a big part of the life that I've had with Steve. And he's been a rock to me during the last few years since I had cancer. But even before that, he's been behind my career so much, been such a big part of it. And at this stage now in my life, that I want to feel we're doing this project together, and that when I finally go, he has something of me left behind, and he can remember the memories every day we went into studio and why we chose each song, and remember the making of it, and to hear my voice. And also for my fans. Without them, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. And there's lots of people waiting on this album. And of course, the proceeds are all going to Maggie's, who have been a wonderful support to myself and Steve. So I wanted to pay something back, and this is the perfect way to do it. It's very difficult when you've got cancer as to what people say to you. And yes, you do have to have a sense of humour. The one thing I love about Steve and sharing my life with Steve is he makes me laugh every single day. And even in my dark moments, he still manages to somehow get a smile on my face, which is a testament to him, really. But it's difficult with friends. In the beginning, I felt I was propping them up and trying to give them the strength, which was difficult for me because I was falling to pieces inside. And yet I felt I had to have that strength to almost keep them going and give them the words, because they just didn't know what to say to me. And it's so easy for people to come up and say, oh, be positive. And most patients with cancer will tell you it's the last thing that we want to hear. I'm a positive person. I will be as positive as I can be. I've been positive almost every single day throughout this. But there are times where you just go, today, I can't be positive. I'm having a bad day. And sometimes your friends don't realise that. They just think you're giving up or you're, But you have to have these days. It's part of the journey. It's part of what you have to go through as you process and digest the whole illness. And it is very difficult for other people to know what to say to you. And sometimes you have to slightly shun yourself away from certain people because they might be saying a whole load of things to you that you really just don't want to hear. And then you have other friends that just get you, You can have a conversation on the phone, or they can sit down and have a cup of coffee with you, and all you want to do is sit and cry, and they cry with you, because that's what you need to do on that day, at that time. And that is what is difficult to explain to other people. They kind of have to go with your mood, because you are up and down on a roller coaster. But there again, I have friends where when I'm in the mood, I want to be out there having a glass of bubbly and a few laughs with the girls. I've got friends that I can do that with, and it's great, And then I have other friends that sit with me, and they're the ones I speak to after I've had a result from a scan or a bad diagnosis, and they're there for me and they cry with me. So I think a lot of that is educating friends, but that's quite difficult to do, and to let them know the best way to be able to handle you and treat you. And I think we're all still learning from that.
For me, the miracle has already happened. I met her. That was my miracle in life. If something was to change and I lose her, which is not something I particularly want to be thinking about right now, I will always know that she was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I don't want to think about miracles because I'm not a religious person. I don't believe in miracles in that sense, in divinity and all that kind of stuff like that. If the doctors come along and there happens to be a new trial, a new something or other that works, I suppose you could call that a miracle. But as I said, the real miracle for me is that I got to meet her and that she got to make my life the best it could ever be.
I never ever feel that lucky is a word that I would associate with my life and with cancer. But I know of so many people, and celebrities as well, who get diagnosed one day and they're gone the next. And they've never had that chance to fulfill wishes or to say goodbyes or finish their life the way they possibly would like to have done. So from that point of view, I know that my time is limited. I still don't know how long I have, but I know the outcome. And a couple of years ago, I remember I wanted to sit down and write my goodbye letters. And Steve and I talked about it, and it was like, it's too soon. You're not there yet, you know. And it was such an enormous thing to actually even contemplate and to think about. But I've now got to that stage in my life where I am with the illness that it could take me any time. And I want to feel prepared. And I have started to write my goodbye letters. And it's one of the hardest things that I've ever had to do. How do you say goodbye to the people you love at a time where you're not ready to go? You're not ready to leave this world. And cancer has taken you. It's not your fault. You've done nothing wrong. But I want to feel that I have done my bit, that I have said my goodbyes properly, and that I've left these special words with these special people. And that's what I'm doing right now. And that is really, really hard. The enormity of thinking that I'm going to die and that I'm not going to be here maybe next year at this time. It's just surreal. It's too much to take in sometimes. But I've got the opportunity to do it. And for that I'm grateful. Because these people will be left with something that has come from me, from my heart, at a time when I really want to tell them how much I love them. And I don't want to be taken away from them.
It's a beautiful night. I know that it's all mine. Sky is darker than it's ever been. Stars are brighter than I've ever seen. And this must be what love is. A moment out of time. And if I say goodbye to you and years go by, this will be true. Tell me everything's alright. It's a beautiful night.
Well, here we are at Ravenscraig Beach in Kirkcaldy. It's one of my favourite beaches in Fife, and it's a place that I come just to have a nice walk and think about things.
Now there's a quarter moon smiling down on me. Yesterday has been and gone. I know tomorrow will never come. You see, I pray the clocks don't move. This is all I want from you. And when you turn away and laugh, I wish we were a photograph. Tell me everything's alright. It's a beautiful night. Stars never shone so bright. It's a beautiful, beautiful, it's a beautiful night. Two lonely people haunted by the past, afraid of letting go, still holding on to yesterday instead of for today. Now it's time to trust our heart again, let it lead the way. So come, let me love you. Let's take it nice and slow. Let me hold you, touch you like no one has before. Take me in your arms. Let's hold each other tight. Don't look back, the future's ours tonight. I've cried my tears, you've held on to your pain for much too long. It's time to love again, and someday soon we might just realize the one that we've been searching for is right before our eyes. So come, let me love you. Let's take it nice and slow. Let me hold you, touch you like no one has before. Take me in your arms. Let's hold each other tight. Don't look back, the future's ours tonight. So come, let me love you. Let's take it nice and slow. Let me hold you tight. you like no one has before. Take me in your arms, let's hold each other tight. Don't look back, the future's ours tonight. Don't look back, the future's ours